What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing good. Well, guys, the day has finally come. We've been going on long enough about expanding and redoing this layout. We're finally going to get started in today's video. As we were going over in the last video, we're saying goodbye to the Tubular Track and swapping it out for some MTH Realtrax. I know we have a few people a little sad and possibly a little upset to be seeing the Tubular Track go. And I kind of do agree. Do believe me, I do still enjoy the old Tubular Track. This Menards track has been great and has definitely done its job. However, I figured we'd quickly go over the reasoning for getting rid of the Tubular Track, and I'd give you guys my thoughts and feelings as to the change. The main reason for changing and remodeling this layout simply comes down to the track work, the curves or the diameter of curves that are here on this layout. When I built this layout roughly 2 years or so ago, at the time I was mainly running traditional sized, post-war sized engines and equipment. I only had a couple few scale size pieces of engines and equipment. Just as everything else in life through time, wants, needs, and desires changed, and we've been getting really big into the scale size stuff. This layout features 042 and 031 track work, and obviously the bigger modern engines just simply cannot handle this track work. The real weak link here in the train room is this center line that's made out of 031 loop. I've only got a couple engines that'll actually run with no issues on this center loop. To be honest, it's kind of a drag. Seeing as how I can't run most of my engines over here on this layout, like I say, it kind of makes it a bummer. And I haven't really been using this layout much. It's mainly just been a catch-all. It's been a workbench while I work on the other layout. I have gotten it up and running and obviously do have trains running at times on it. But to be honest, this layout takes up way too much room in the train room to not get used and enjoyed. So obviously I want to change it up. I want to be able to run the stuff that I want to over here. Now, obviously, we could have stuck with the Tubular Track. I could have picked up a couple cases of 071 and 054 curves to replace the current track on the layout. Because as I say, it does look great. The post-war engines running on this stuff, there's nothing better. However, with these big, modern, scale-sized engines and equipment, with their great looks and all their details, this stuff just doesn't look at home that much running on this track. It's just not as convincing. It doesn't sell it as well. For instance, this E8 here, like I say, this is such a big monstrous engine, doesn't look quite as at home on this track as, say, that post-war inspired Santa Fe behind it. So that's one of the main reasons why we're getting away from the Tubular Track, just for aesthetics. Obviously, as you guys know, over here on the first layout we have Realtrax. It's a little more convincing, more of a high rail layout style look. It just looks a little bit better with these scale-sized engines and equipment. I did ponder for a little bit about sticking with the tubular. I could have taken the extra time and spent a little bit of money and maybe purchased or made some ties to go along with the ties that are already installed on it. Give it a little bit more realistic look. However, I don't think I would have got quite as good of a look as you do right out of the box with this track. And I really didn't feel like spending that much time and effort, or putting in that much effort to try and get this track up to the same standard as the other track, or the more modern track. I think it would have taken a lot of time and just a whole lot of effort that wasn't going to be worthwhile, to be honest with you. As we were going over in the last video as well, for the new track it came down to two choices. Some Atlas O track, or some MTH Realtrax. The Realtrax, the reason being we still had some left over from the other layout. I would still like to do one day an Atlas O layout. I think that would be awesome. It is a beautiful track system. However, at the time, it seems pretty hard to come by, especially straight sections. With the Realtrax, 072 and up curves are a little harder to come by nowadays, but this stuff's been out for so long, and it seems much more accessible. You can still find it without a doubt any day of the week, but if you're not in a position where you can wait or maybe don't have much patience, you're going to pay for it a little bit more than you would if you waited. Because as I say, you can still find this stuff fairly cheaply. All the stuff I got came from a train show, and I've got just about as much invested in all the track that I have eat probably a little bit less, to be honest with you, than I do in all the Menards track that is currently placed here on the layout. As long as you have a little bit of patience, you can find the stuff. It's been out there for forever. I guess you could say this Realtrax and I are kind of like high school sweethearts. We've been together for forever, been through everything, thick and thin, ups and downs, know everything about one another. Sure, I might be tempted and want to look or maybe even chase some thinner, younger, sexier track. However, it's my rock, it's my soulmate. I'm not going anywhere. In all honesty, I've been using this track system the longest now, going on over 20 years, and I've never really had an issue with it. I see a lot of complaints and whatnot here on the internet. However, like I say, I haven't had much trouble with it. Sure, it might take a little bit more tinkering and might take a little bit more time during setup to get everything running properly, but as long as you take that time to set it up properly, like I say, I haven't had one issue out of it. I will admit, straight out of the box, it might not be the prettiest track system out there. However, spending a little bit of time on it, doing some elbow grease, installing ballast, and some landscaping, I think it's a very attractive track system. Maybe not quite up to par as Atlas O, but I think it's pretty close right behind it. I think this stuff looks pretty good. I'm not going to get in depth with the MTH Realtrax system in today's video, as I've already done this in a previous video. If interested in some personal tips and tricks and setup on this track, I'll post a link in the description below. As I say, I already did a pretty in-depth video on this track. Anyways, let's get to today's video. Today we're not going to be doing a whole lot, we're just going to be demolishing the layout in its current state. Luckily and fortunately, we do not have a ton of work to do. As you can see, I'd never really made it that far with this layout. We've just got the track work placed and secured to the table, and that's really the main majority of the work. We do have a couple buildings to remove. However, I've already stolen a few buildings off of this layout and used them and placed them on the first layout behind us. The hardest part about this today is going to be finding somewhere to put all the trains and cars that are currently on the layout. All my shelving is full, and I gotta find a safe home to place them. Luckily, we got the spare room. I just don't know how much room is in there. But yeah, once we get the trains off the layout, we'll start taking it apart. I did have a few people interested in the last video in this track work and these switches. And a lot of this track, honestly, all of this track is going to be available. I don't really have a use for it anymore now that we're swapping tracks. As you can see, I've got a bunch of lightly used Menards track. I've also got quite a few sets of these post-war Lionel 022 switches. Quite a few of these come with their original boxes as well. All these switches, have been serviced and gone through, and as you've seen in previous videos, they work flawlessly. I've already done the soldering work and all that good stuff. If you're interested in any of this track, you can find my email in the About page here on the channel. Drop me a line, let me know. Like I say, if you're interested, get with me. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're making a mess, but we're finally getting wrapped up for the night. Took a little bit longer than I was hoping, but I wasn't exactly rushing it either. I don't think it's too bad for a few hours on a Friday night. I think we put a pretty good dent in it. As you can see, we got everything removed. Looking pretty good. The hardest part was getting that raised deck from back over there up and out of the room or off the layout. Obviously, we don't have a ton of room in here to work with, and it's only going to get worse once we start actually expanding the layout. But it's still doable. It's still manageable. Looking pretty good. We got a nice big clean slate to start with. I've still got to get under the layout and clean up all the wires and get them out of there. But we'll save that for a later date. For those interested, the track plan or the layout is going to stay pretty much the same. The ends of the layout are going to get a little fatter to accommodate the wider radius curves of the new track. We're going to do away with the dog bone that we had on that 031 loop in the middle. I'm not looking to do that again. It works good for the smaller engines, but I don't think that's a good idea for these bigger engines. Plus, I don't know if we'd be able to pull that off with the wider radius curves. But we'll see what happens once we get to placing the track here on the layout. To give you guys an idea of how crazy we're getting and how small the train room is going to get, here's half of a circle of the new 071 loop that's going to be getting installed. You can see we're going to be losing a lot of real estate here in the train room. But hey, it's all in good fun, right? Luckily, I don't have a whole ton of people that come visit the layout. Usually it's just me in here playing, so we should still be all right. But yeah, the train room's going to be getting a lot smaller. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be worthwhile. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Make sure to tune in next time for the actual beginning of the expansion itself. We're going to be starting over here in this back corner against this wall and working our way out towards this first layout behind me. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and start expanding the other side and then not be able to bring stuff in through the sliding door. So we'll start over here and work our way forward. But you'll have to see what we got going on in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. But anyways, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I'm pretty beat. Until next time, guys, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-around.